There are certain threads on 4chan that don't just feel creepy, they feel too real. Not monsters, not urban legends, just ordinary people who suddenly find themselves living through something they can't talk about anywhere else. Today, we're diving into some terrifying true 4chan threads. If you enjoy videos like these, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and the channel's goal is 1 million subscribers, so I'd love for you to subscribe and join the community, and it just helps more than you know. And this is genuinely the scariest thread and story I've ever read. This is beyond terrifying, so buckle up, it'll be a doozy. Grab a snack, grab a drink, and without further ado, let's get into some terrifying true 4chan threads. So, a friend of mine told me I should be coming here to talk to you all about my, well, I feel paranoid calling it a problem, but it's starting to feel that way. The gist, I guess, basically, is that I work for a security guard service, and what I do personally is sub in for security guards around my area when they cannot get another guard to cover shifts. And honestly, I make more hours than you would think. My area is a tourist spot and many hotels and sites want full night security, etc. But recently, after a job at a resort over here, I'm having some unusual events happening to me on a near nightly basis. And just last night, things started to happen in my home. Now, my friend recommended me here, and I probably wouldn't have even considered his advice, except for the fact that here I am at work again tonight, and I keep feeling like I'm being followed or watched again. And not quite sure what else to do at this hour but tell of my goings on and keep posting pictures of things happening here. Presently, I'm outside patrolling this part of the grounds that's under construction. I think a new truck housing lot or loading house, I'm not exactly sure. But I keep feeling like maybe there's somebody out here with me. I'll walk around and hear something shuffle in the construction, and it could be just animals, but after my week, well, I'm on edge to say the least. And the OP posts a picture of the construction site I guess he's working on, and you can just see how dark it is and honestly creepy. And then he continues saying, "Not sure if I messed up these name fields here or what, but I am the OP. I'm sitting here in this construction at night, and I'm pretty sure I am hearing footsteps crunch up in the construction, but then when I get my light up on it, I'm not really seeing anything, but at this point, that just would be following suit for my week. Definitely consider calling up my supervisor. Pretty sure I just saw a guy out here. But every time I try to get my light over on him, it's just no good. Just creeping me out in general, since the rest of the place where it's not construction is literally just fields of dirt and there's absolutely nothing worth stealing here. Not even tools." And then someone comments under this thread to the OP saying, "You need to learn how to pick up a name. All that aside, what makes you think that this isn't just actually some normal person there to steal stuff? I mean, isn't that why people hire security? Because they have things they want to protect?" And then someone commented a kind of a joke saying, "OP, it's your boss. I hired you to guard the site from any potential vandals or hooligans out on Halloween, not to browse 4chan. Get back to work." And then the OP replies to both of these saying, "Normally, I would completely agree with you. I mean, this is literally what I'm here for. But in almost my whole time working security, all the incidences I've ever had were just blatant things. Telling people to get out of the resort pool or stop trespassing, etc. But ever since last week, it's like this exact same kind of shit's been happening at work. Sounds like people are coming upstairs and then nobody is there. Or my gear just turning up missing. Or randomly in totally wrong spots. Walk out of the office and have been doing rounds and find my two-way just sitting in the middle of the hall floor. Just lots of little weird things, and this place is creepy to boot. I don't really need much extra coaxing to be stressed out here. I think I'm going to just keep dumping some pictures though. The flashes of light in the area make me feel a bit safer anyways." And then someone comments saying, "My friend, we are here with you in your dark hour. Keep posting and talk to us. We will keep you company." And then someone says, "You work in the States, OP?" And then the OP responds to the "we're with you" comment saying, "I really appreciate that. I'm taking lots of photos, but I hear some noise over by the work tracker thing, and I got a few quick snaps, but in all actuality, it looks more like something is in by the porta potty and not the tracker stuff. In the photos, it looks like maybe something starts to obscure some of the posts in the dirt, but there was not really anyone there. And I'm not sure why some of the post began to obscure in the photos and then came out perfectly fine again in later ones. And then the OP posts a picture, and in the picture we can see the porta potty he's talking about, a light out in the distance, and just kind of, dirt everywhere. You can't really see anything else, but pretty eerie photo, to be honest. And then he continues saying, creepy as shit. I'm about to post the rest of the construction work photos for now and move back over to the truck loading area. And then he replies to the States question saying, yeah, I do work in the States. Sounds are creepy as fuck, especially when there's not anything you can find that makes them. And then he posts another picture. It looks like it's just slightly to the left of the original picture. Nothing different. Still porta potty, still dirt. Anyways, and then someone comments and asks, how large is this construction area? Are you the only one guarding it? And the OP responds saying, yeah, I'm the only one here. The actual entire construction area of this place is pretty big. I'd say at least 3 acres of completely flat open field with work going on, maybe only on a third of it. But the trucking lot that's already been here for a while is just a few buildings and warehouses, large at best. And I think that's the main concern for property theft, which makes it all the more odd that someone would be out here with me in this barren construction zone. Does anyone else notice how these posts become obscured? I literally have no idea why, but I definitely felt like, looking back on it, something was just standing in front of those posts. And then he posts another picture, and we can't really see anything. I mean, something could be standing in front of that post, but still it's just a porta potty picture. I don't really see anything. But anyways, someone says, not exactly sure what that is in the pictures, but 2 of those posts definitely do seem to just kind of disappear. Fucking weird OP. And then the OP comes back and then gives us an update saying, was walking back over the truck lots and I heard some scuffling for sure over in a bit of one of those buildings. Came from right in the middle, but I snapped a shot and got nothing. And then it just looks like a construction zone and nobody there. I would be freaking out if I was him though. And then he gives us another update saying, after hearing that stuff, I kind of booked it over the truck lot. Much better lit over here. Although creepily, there are even more places to hide if someone was actually here with me. And I guess so. It's a creepy kind of warehouse area, but I'm kind of surprised the OP hasn't told us what he's really hearing. I guess just noises. And then someone comments saying, truck place looks pretty creepy too, OP. You live in an abandoned city or something? And then the OP says, no, I live in a pretty popular little tourist trap actually. It's really just a lot of these places in the industrial part of town are pretty run down. And he gives us another picture of a wall. I think he's just going to keep updating us with the pictures. And then someone makes a comment saying, I'm sure it is nothing. I'm not very skilled with contrast editing. And then, this person kind of contrasted the picture so you can see. And we definitely can't see anything in the picture the OP sent. And then the OP gives us another update and replying to that saying, do you think maybe you can do the same to the ones with the post near the rent a shitter? That's the part that was really messing with me. Also, just these truck slots are so weird. They just pile trash everywhere. And then he sends a picture of the trash and someone definitely could be hiding in there. And then someone replies to that picture saying, there's nothing OP. You're just being paranoid in my opinion. You shouldn't have took on that guarding duty if you're scared this easily. And the person kind of turns up the contrast and there's nobody or nothing there. And then the OP responds to that saying, not this picture, it was the earlier ones with the portable bathroom in the shot that I was worried about. And it's not really not that I'm scared all that easily. This place just literally gives me the creeps. These pics I've been posting over the last 3 have all just been junk in the truck yard. I start getting ready to leave duty anyways here in about 5 minutes or so. I lied. Fuck all that other noise. Can you enhance this photo? I could have sworn it sounded like feet crunching on gravel behind this truck, and I took a quick flash. And it kind of looks like legs under the side of the truck. I'm not sure though. My display is kind of shitty out here. And then he posts a picture, and to be honest, I can't even see a truck in here. But I guess the OP heard crunching on gravel, which is creepy. And then he made another post saying, was there in a subsequent frame too? Just not exactly sure what that is. And I guess you can see like a dumpster or something there. I can't really see anything, but we have to wait for that one commenter to turn up the resolution or the contrast. And then someone comments saying, I'm no photo wizard, but here you go, OP. If there's nobody there with you, fit real, it's time to call the Ghostbusters. And yeah, he posts the higher contrast photo, and you can't really see anybody. So yeah. And then the OP responds to that saying, "Those are just what I snapped in my burst mode shot. It's dark as shit in this particular spot, and this is the best resolution my phone gets out here. On that note, now that I'm completely terrified, having gone around the truck pretty much around 60 seconds later, and it being the area where all the trash is packed with no easy way out, my change of shift just got here to relieve me. I let him know I thought maybe someone was legitimately there, but something tells me if this is going to follow the same suit as the rest of the week, I'll be the only one having shit to happen to me at all." And then someone says, "Probably foxes shuffling around." Someone says, "Not sure foxes look like those last pictures." Yeah, those look like some fucking legs standing there. And I'm going to take a double check at this. And oh yeah, there actually kind of do look like two legs there, but it almost looks doctored to me. I mean, I don't think it is doctored, but yeah, that is a little bit creepy. It's kind of like a ghost almost. Yeah, double checking that, that's a little bit creepy. Anyways, the OP gives us another update replying, "Yeah, they definitely do. Well, that completely just with me so hard. I was doing a job over at a hotel here about a week ago, and I had this crossing with this really odd guest at the hotel. He was well dressed, suit jacket and vest every time I saw him, probably younger 30s, but taller, over 6 feet, and he seemed fine. But I kept finding him all night wandering the halls, getting ice, going out to smoke, going out for eggs. He gave me excuses without provocation every time I saw him that night. But what was odd is I never saw him twice on the same floor, except for maybe once. And I must have seen him at least 6 times over the course of a single night. But there was something weird about him. Like he locked eyes with me a little too long. And when he would walk away, I knew he would stop walking and just watch me leave. It was super creepy. Then, after the night, every single job I've been on, I've been hearing footsteps and seeing things out of the corner of my eye. And I swear to God, it gives me the exact same creepy vibe of that guy. I don't know exactly what the deal is, but it just feels exactly the same. Every night since then, even nights when I'm not at work, I'm hearing this stuff in my house since a day ago. But that photo is blowing my mind. I'm fucking sure those are his slacks. And then someone responds to this saying, "Well, if you're not just trolling us, I feel for you. My brother is a security guard and I'm picturing him in your shoes. Stay safe." Someone else says, "Did anyone else mention seeing this guest?" And then someone else says, "Can you take any more photos around that truck? See if we get anything else?" And then someone else says, "Take a picture of the other side. Also, can someone circle what I'm supposed to see here? I don't get it." And then the OP responds to all of these saying, "Honestly, this past week is the first time anything even remotely strange has happened at all during my security work. I've never even been into paranormal stuff or anything before all of this. I seriously was starting to think I was going crazy out here, but that picture kind of sold me on it. I don't feel quite as crazy anymore, but I wouldn't worry too much for your brother. I've literally never had anything happen like this week." I'm not sure. I mean, while I was on shift, no complaints were phoned in at all or anything, and I think the whole night I only even saw just one other couple. I usually go on shift about 11 and get off around 7, so not seeing anyone during fall season here is pretty normal at nights, but I saw this guy at least 6 times, which is pretty abnormal just in and of itself. But the way he acted was just so nails on a chalkboard, if you catch what I mean. Everything was fine on the surface, but it was just something about him. I guess I can call up there in just a bit when the real hotel desk staff comes in and ask them if there was any kind of complaints about that guy. I already left posts at that such place, and I think that was really my only night this week on post at that spot. I go somewhere else tonight, and I'm not sure if taking photos now would do much good anyways. The sun crested a while ago, and daybreak has well set in now. Those final pictures were pretty much right on the edge before dawn." And then some commenter replies to the "worry about the brother" comment, saying, "Well, even though he's not into anything paranormal, a couple years ago he saw a weird shadow man or something and had a chair move slowly on its own. I posted that story here a few times before, and he's been attacked by an actual human before, so all I'm saying is I respect the people who work dangerous jobs like this and want them to be as safe as possible. And then some people send the pictures of the porta potty where the OP thought someone was blocking the pole. And then someone says, pretty sure these pictures is what was going on with these, or am I wrong, OP? And then he posts a picture and he says all of them are in view. And I would agree, I don't see anyone blocking a pole. And then someone else comments saying, fourth pole obscured by what? And so I guess these two pictures, so did the guy like move in front of him or something like that? I don't know. And then someone else says, if you follow the outline of the legs up, you can just barely make out the outline of a person. Creepy, OP. You should definitely open up another thread again. And then the OP responds to that saying, those are exactly what I was talking about when I was there. Those poles were the ones being like, I don't know, erased or something from my photos. I just don't know what was blocking them. I heard a sound somewhere else, but the first photo, that way made me see something over by the porta potty, and I just snapped a few more burst shots at it. And that's what came out. Those photos are all probably only 5 seconds apart total. And then someone else makes another comment about it, and he says, third pole gone completely, fourth pole obscured almost completely, black is almost solid. And so yeah, someone definitely could be blocking it, but wouldn't something kind of show up if the OP took a flash photo? I don't know. And then someone says, when you took that second picture, were you standing any further or closer from the pose than you were in the first picture, even if it was only a few steps? Because in the first picture, you can already barely see the fourth pole. And then the OP responds to a few of these comments. There were actually about 6 or so in pictures on that burst. Those are just the definitively distinct ones. But I didn't move forwards or backwards at all. Not even an inch. All I did was maybe pan the camera a little while it shot. And then the OP says, all right, I think I'm going to call the hotel now. I'm sure the management was in. I know for a fact there was no security complaints that night, but sometimes the hotel night staff get trivial shit that they don't tell us about. Suppose it's worth looking into, right? And then the OP gives us an update saying, well, I called the hotel and I asked about last Tuesday and if they had any night shift report on the guy. It seems like the morning shift manager that's on right now was the same manager that was there on the Wednesday morning when I came off shift last week. I called and asked him if he had any problems with this one particular guy, and the manager got really uneasy sounding over the phone. He told me that actually he was the one at the front desk when the dude checked in, just a little bit after the sun had gone down. He told me he remembered it was right after sundown because there was a fireworks show at dusk or something, and that the man had come in commenting about the show. It's not exactly that he babbled or anything, and I totally agree with that. He didn't really seem to babble to me either. He just said things that should have been really almost familiar or friendly, but coming from him, they were almost wrong. Like the guy who effed your girlfriend trying to talk to you about your favorite baseball team or something. It was like just insincere. Anyways, the hotel shift manager told me that the dude came in and bought 3 rooms, and that struck him as pretty much downright weird. I mean, rooms are like hundreds of dollars a night, even in off season, and it was just one guy buying rooms all for himself. Anyways, that really made him stick in the shift managers apparently, because this dude knew exactly who I was talking about the second I asked about the tall guy in the suit and vest. Didn't even have to tell him about the hair or anything before he started jabbering away about this shit. I didn't even want to ask him if he had anything else happen to him, but towards the end of the manager saying all that shit, he told me that the guy checked out the next morning, but that since then, he thought he'd seen the guy around this town this week, but only caught him in the corner of his eye places or in crowds for a second. Weird thing is, I have never seen that guy again, but the whole time he was anywhere around me, it really was like having my nails run on paper or nails on a chalkboard. Like I just needed to get away from it. Kind of wrongness. Really an uneasy feeling about the whole thing. And I haven't seen him, I hope, since then. But every night to get that same feeling all the time. And it feels like he's around anyways. Especially after last Thursday when all the sound started. And then someone comments saying, well, he sounds like a genuine creeper, and a rich one at that. Rich, sketchy guys are always super creepy. And make sure you keep your phone well charged every time you go out. Do have a gun, mace, or other means of defense while you're on guard. Also, maybe you could see if that manager can save any security footage he may have of the guy, just in case shit starts again. Then he could be pointed out to the cops if he's stalking/harassing you or doing any other sketchy shit. And then someone says maybe the guy was shooting a video or on drugs or something, or shooting a video while on drugs. And then the OP responds to these saying, I forgot completely about the security footage. Before I did security guard work, I actually did access control and DVR/camera installs and gate control stuff and everything. I didn't think to ask him to pull the security footage, but I might swing by their security room here later and just do it myself when nobody is around. I don't really want to get caught using a DVR to take footage off just to creep on my potential creeper. I know that probably sounds weird. I don't own a gun, although I probably should. I could get better security jobs too if I did, no lie there. Don't think they'd let me take any other kind of weapon on post either. They have pretty strict laws about that kind of stuff. I'm lucky if my flashlight weigh more than 2 pounds and have lights that last more than 30 minutes continuously, honestly. Security firms can be cheapskates, even in high profile. And then he says, nah, definitely not a video. I mean, I say that, but I don't know for sure. But something about him just told me he didn't care about that. I'm not sure about the drugs either. Like I said, he wasn't insane. He was just wrong. Like, he just was the kind of person that when they smile, you know absolutely that they are a wolf wearing people skin. He was just wrong. He wasn't stupid or crackhead. He dressed super sharp and everything. He was just not good people. And then someone replies to him saying, well, I live in a gun-happy state, so my brother has his concealed carry permit and 2 handguns. So I at least know he has protection if he needs it. I don't know what the laws are like where you live, but maybe it's time to discuss it with your employers. At the very least, you should be allowed mace or pepper spray. And yeah, it would be great if you could get the footage, but don't get busted if you don't ask permission. Don't lose your job over this, and who knows? The dude could be harmlessly eccentric man, or he could be a serial killer. Either way, it's always best to prepare for the worst case scenario. You just don't want to do anything rash while you're at it. And then the OP replies to saying, the only problem is that there are literally different laws in application when you're a security guard. There is a distinction between armed and unarmed postings, and regardless of your own personal carry permits, carrying a weapon in an unarmed post is a crime, even with a permit. I could probably get away with pepper spray or mace though. And yeah, maybe he is harmless, but pictures with legs with nobody to go with them and the same exact feelings of motherfuckery that he gave off happening to me all week makes me think that maybe he's not so harmless. Although if he wanted me dead, it probably have been a perfect time tonight. That post has no security cameras at all. The truck one, not the hotel. The hotel definitely has floor cams. And then a commenter replies to this OP saying, I know, and that sucks. That's why I suggested you discuss things with their employers. And he was replying to the why he can't carry a gun. And then the commenter replies to the pepper spray or mace comment saying, if you can, get right on that. And then he responds to the comment of the OP saying pictures with legs with nobody to go with them. That's sketchy. And then the commenter says, he definitely sounds sketchy to me, but you just want to err on the side of caution. For starters, you don't know for sure if the legs belong to him. So you could be focusing so hard on this creepy guy that you totally miss the fact it was some potential robber scoping out the place or whatever. Someone else says, maybe you could get one of those lapel cameras cops wear for when you're posted somewhere that has no security cameras. That's a good idea, like a body cam. And then someone else says, maybe you could carry a taser. And then someone says, yeah, that's a great idea. Do this, OP. A camera can be a great weapon too, as has been proven over and over these days. Someone else says, pretty sure a taser or stun gun counts, Anon. I'm sure there are laws restricting the use of them too. Someone else says, wouldn't hurt to ask, and a stun gun is a shitty weapon in my opinion. Salt and silver might be better for OP if he thinks he's up against something paranormal. And then the OP responds to these comments saying, the lack of security cameras usually is a non-issue. My phone does the job pretty well, I mean, and it's potentially more visible as a deterrent than a lapel camera. Both are pretty much useless, though if someone's going to murder me though. I mean, the best way to make those videos never appear is just kind of murk me and murk my phone, yeah? And then he responds to the comment saying, unfortunately, stun guns and tasers are also prohibited on unarmed post. Mace is probably as good as my options get. And then the OP says, It's not that the legs definitely belong to him, but I've definitely been hearing shit for the past week. And the point of the matter is, they were definitely legs in that photo. And that kind of reinforces how I felt about being followed around. You think a potential burglar casing a joint would follow the night security around? Me thinks that's exceptionally counterproductive to accomplishing a good heist, especially since I reported all that stuff in my logs. Furthermore, the really messed up part is the never actually seen a full person. Hell, I've never seen any amount of any person basically until right this morning. And then someone responds saying, I don't know what to tell you, OP. We'll just have to wait and see how this unfolds. This is X and all, but even though I want to believe, I'm a little skeptical at heart, and I'm pretty sure this is just some crazy creep. Who knows why he's stalking you, or at least your workplace, but if you can catch him in the act, you can do something about it. And then someone responds to the burglar casing a joint would follow the night security around question, saying, it's risky and criminals are usually dumb, but maybe if he was working with another guy keeping track of where you are, might have been useful. You know, if they fancied themselves as pulling some Ocean's 11 shit or whatever, but I think you're probably right. Have you talked to anyone else that's work security at this place? Maybe it isn't just you. And then the OP responds saying, see, and if it was just my workplace, I would have been alright with it. The day before last, I started to hear this shit in my house as well. I mentioned it earlier on this thread. Live in a 2-story place, and I know I heard feet hitting the weird stair in my house about 4 times that night. And I woke up with windows open in my place on the 2nd floor. Windows that never open. I mean, fuck. I never even open any windows, so whatever's messing with me at work, I'm almost positive has been home with me. And then someone comments, unless the robber had access to the new age experimental optical camouflage and could render himself more or less invisible, that wasn't a damn robber. And then the OP comments, talking to the hotel manager was the first time I even mentioned this stuff to anyone even related to a work post. I mean, until this morning, I thought I was going a bit crazy. Hearing all this shit with no proof, seeing those 2 legs helped me out quite a bit, knowing I'm not going mad at all. Pulling Ocean's 11 shit on what? A half-constructed truck lot? Or a truck yard that mostly has trashed pallets? I'm just baffled as to what there was to steal from there. And this is like the 7th place I've had these events start to unfold, though only the first time I took photos, which seemed productive actually. And then someone asked, sounds like you need to invest in home security as well. More cameras too. If you hear noises again, do not ignore it. Try to find the source as quietly as possible. You can take down an intruder in your home with a weapon, I'm sure, unless your state has fucked up laws. And then the OP responds to that saying, no, I feel very well versed in actually taking down intruders and fighting. I've been in quite a few brawls and my actual home is lined with many blunt and pointy things. But out on the job feels pretty weird. Feel more vulnerable there than I do in my own home. Though that's probably pretty normal, I suppose. King's Castle and all. Also, I'm not dismissing highly skilled creeper. He just would have to be exactly that. An insanely highly skilled creeper. This stuff has been going on for over a week solid though. I think maybe I'll ask a friend to stay over and I'll start photoing everything and keep it all posted here. Maybe there's somewhere else I could keep it all posted and wouldn't have to worry about a 404. And then someone says, hey OP, as a fellow unarmed guard, don't do anything that is going to get you shit canned. Taking security footage covertly and carrying mace with you is probably not a good idea. And the OP responds to this saying, that's probably really good advice about the security footage. Mace though, I was just going to talk to my CEO on post about and ask him if it could be worked out. I don't see a reason why not, as it's the very bottom of the non-lethal deterrent, so to speak. I really do want to see some security footage of that guy, but I'm pretty iffy on it myself. Though in this instance, I was actually part of the work that did all the security hardware installs on a sister hotel on the other side of town, and I know they are done up identical. Getting to the stuff should be absolutely no problem, but being wary of getting fired is a definite concern. Maybe I'll just ask the shift manager later today and see what we can do. And then the OP and some commenters kind of chop it up for a bit, talking about stuff. None of it was really that important, but then the OP goes back to work later that night and says, I actually am alive at work and post right now. Not much going on tonight despite it being Halloween. We normally have flashlights on post. The one last night just gave out before I even started taking photos. Most of these posts aren't really heavily maintained for equipment. Just posting a photo I took last night to prove it's me still. And then the picture is just of the construction site. So that's just to prove it's the OP. And then he says, I tried to start another thread, but it didn't go over well. Having a hell of a night over here tonight. Got lots of photos and plenty of noises and shit. I'm almost positive that whatever is back with me tonight. Tonight post did indeed have a flashlight with me. And also where I left off in the other thread, I was pretty sure I'd seen a guy over here. Snapped a few quick photos with the light on the building where I thought I saw movement. And then he posts a picture, and God, this is terrifying looking. I mean, you can't really see anything, but I can't imagine just being out here in the dark and thinking some person was there with me. But it looks like a building in the distance. I don't know what's close to him. Maybe a sidewalk. And you can't really see anything else. And then the OP says, picture that happened after that one. Thought I caught movement on this shed, but the photos all came out like this one. And of course, by the time I got up to it, there was nothing around at all. And then he posts another picture, and it's very blurry, but equally as eerie. And then someone says, someone enhanced these images. Something is there. And then the OP says, I don't know how to do it on my phone, or I would do it myself. Heard some stuff, sounded like some scuffling over here, so I came to the tree to look around. Nothing but creepy tree here, I guess. I hate all of these noises with a nothing to make them. And then he posts a picture of the tree, and yeah, all of these photos look like from a horror movie. I don't know how the OP's doing this while he's typing on 4chan. I mean, I believe him, but yeah, so scary. And then someone says, maybe a weird question, but did you get a good look at the tall gentleman's eyes? The color and the shape? And then the OP says, heard something over here and snapped some more photos. All I'm seeing in those photos myself are just the same kind of dark obscuring effect that was going on last night, but if there's something there, I'm probably going to shit my pants. And then he shares another photo of trash can, a picture of the building, I suppose. And I don't know where he's doing his security job. I don't think this is the construction site that he was at last night, but I'm sure he'll update us soon. And then the OP responds to the eye question saying, I did. They were pretty basic, just a normal brown color. And the shape was pretty normal. Why do you ask? And then he says, no, I agree. There's definitely something there, but it's the same kind of shit as last night. And I'm mostly doing bursts of images. I'm just picking the ones out where the things being off are in fact most noticeable. I'm completely aware that it definitely looks like something is there. That's why I'm even posting them at all. I'm hoping to catch something here. Been hearing shit all night. I didn't mean literally if there's something there. I meant like a full-figured person or something more exacting. I am completely well aware there looks like there's something or somebody in those shots. That's why I'm posting them going, what in the fuck am I looking at here? I agree with you both. And then someone says, curiosity. Was he white, black, Latin, or Persians perhaps? Hunched over at all? Crooked teeth? And then the OP responds to that saying, he was white. No olive tone to the skin or much bronzing. His teeth were all fine. And he stood up straight every time I was looking at him. He had no physical deformity of any kind of unusual valley effect or anything. He was completely physically normal. And then someone says, that's a good sign. It is possible that you might have just encountered an affluent psychopath. Some people pick up on that sort of thing, and it really does get to the core. Perhaps everything else is mere coincidence. This is what I would hope. And then the OP posts a creepy picture of a crucifix in the dark saying, oh boy, just some creepy window crucifix here. Thanks for having my heart jump, Doc. And then, yeah, even though I don't know where he is, but yeah, that if I was at nighttime and I just see that pop up, I'd be a little bit spooked. And then he says, affluent psychopath. Good sign. Oh, okay, I'm glad that's all then. Why is shit so much creepier in the dark? And then he posts another picture of a terrifying kind of cafeteria sort of looking thing. Yeah, very creepy. And then someone says, what that small shed supposed to be? And the OP says, not sure. I've never been in it or anything, and it's part of the medical park, but I don't have keys to basically any buildings up here as they are all privately owned. Not sure at all what is facilitating here. And then someone posts a picture of a highly contrasted picture the OP sent and says, let the shitting begin. And yeah, it does look like a person there, but then someone says, I think we're just overthinking it because in reality, it just looks like a dark shadow. But yeah, that is a very eerie picture. I mean, it could be just a person standing in the dark. And then someone says, that photo was just contrast altered by thinking required. And then someone says, call my supervisor about this, because that's pretty compelling to someone being there. He said he's going to come over and check it out with me. And then someone says, be careful, OP. And can you bring extra flashlights or even set up floodlights? And then the OP responds to that saying, my flashlight actually has not died at all tonight and has been used in every picture posted. It's a pretty large mag light type, but it still affords little visual improvements at far range in conjunction with the camera. I suppose I could buy and bring my own, but that's spending money I don't really have. Floodlights are a definite non-go on essentially every post I work. Super came and went. I'm basically leaving post now. And he posted another picture of a creepy picnic area. Yeah, everywhere he's posted looks terrifying. And then he says, whenever I get home, I'm going to put all the photos on my PC and see if I can find any that are really out of place or something. And then the OP gets back to his computer and says, oh shit, looking through some of the burst images shots I had, I think I have a few pictures with this guy in it. Holy fucking fuck. Let me find a way to put them all together somehow. And then he puts them all together and says, oh fuck, most definitely. I'm putting this picture up on this section of burst images so you can see he's only in a few stills next to each other. Then I'm going to upload the ones he's in. I swear it's that effing guy. Mother effer. And he says, definitely the guy. And he posts a picture and oh my God. Look at this. This is genuinely one of the most terrifying pictures I've seen on a 4chan thread. Look at that. He barely caught him. There is a guy there. Confirmed. Why is there a guy with OP? Oh my God, there's somebody there. You can see that he was kind of like looking back. The guy kind of looks bald almost next to a truck. That gave me goosebumps everywhere. And then he says, there was literally nobody around here. And that truck in the photo wasn't even a good distance away from this window reflection. Fuck. This meant this guy would have been just out of my line of sight, but it couldn't have been more than 200 feet away from me. And then you can see the guy looking back almost. Oh my gosh, this is so scary. And then he says, so yeah, rethinking going back on post without a weapon now. And oh my God, you can see the guy. This is probably the best picture we have of the guy. Black suit, some sort of kind of gray hair, maybe a comb over, and yeah, white truck. This is genuinely terrifying. This is the scariest story I've ever read so far. Anyways. And then someone replies saying, OP is kill. And then someone else says, fuck, that looks like him, all right? It's not a friend or coworker fucking with you, is it? You said a friend recommended you here? Maybe he's in on it? And then the OP replies saying, I'm not dead. Was phoning the hotel to get this dude's name and license plate stuff. Apparently, the dude paid in cash and told them he didn't have a car. Fuck my life a lot. I got basically zero to go on. I did tell the cops though, and they said they're going to pull the security footage from the hotel and get to looking for him. I really do hope they get this guy. It's starting to get seriously fucky. Also, no, I definitely don't know this guy, and someone recommended me here as an after fact that this shit was happening. In all actuality, it was a friend who moved away and who had almost no way of knowing prior knowledge of these events until I told them myself. Fuck my life, too shitty to sleep. And then someone says, you need to rest. Otherwise, you'll be less alert when he shows up again. I know you feel uncomfortable, so tie bells/cans that will make noise all in your doorknobs and maybe put a few in front of the windows before you sleep. Or if that's too much trouble, ask a friend to come over who can stay awake and quietly read or watch TV and be around for backup. And then the OP replies to that saying, that might actually be a good idea, but I'm a bit pumped, at least for now. I only woke up 11 hours ago, so it's not exactly like I'm at 16-hour sleep threshold yet or something. Also, now I'm going back and scrutinizing all of my burst images and photos. I want to get like some solid evidence together for the cops on this, and I'm seeing him probably crop up in more places. I really need someone who can the contrast and stuff. I don't even have Photoshop or anything like that, so I wouldn't know where to start. Here he is again, just standing. What's f***y is that in the other frames of this burst shot, he's not just there in any other frame, and it's only like a second or so apart. Makes me wonder how many frames he really is in, and I've missed him. And then he posts a picture, and you can see him in the distance. Oh my God. This is terrifying. So yeah, in the picture with the trash can in the tree, when he turned up the contrast, you can see the guy in the far distance. I don't know how far away it is. It looks pretty far, but this guy is literally stalking OP. And then someone says, well, it seems he may have been in this photo too OP. Maybe we should look at all the rest. Was this thing in the picture in more frames than just one? And then the person turns up the contrast, and yeah, you can definitely see a silhouette of a person all the way out there. I mean, I don't know why this guy would stand there if he knows the OP is probably taking pictures that way. Or maybe the stalker doesn't even know he's taking pictures and just thinks the OP has a flashlight. Very, very creepy stuff though. And then someone else says, is it just me, or in the last picture the OP posted, does it look like there's a cross on that tree? And I agree. I was going to mention that, but it was minor. It does look like there's a cross on the tree, but that's unrelated. And then someone says, well, save the idea for when you do need to crash. This guy is a motherfucking ninja. What did he do to dishonor his clan? And then the OP responds saying, actually, it's not. In this shot, just before the other one I posted, I got a clean hit on that building with the mag light, and the camera pretty clean, and whatever was there in the other photo that just got cleaned up is gone. Holy shit, why does it kind of look like that? Like hung up on a chain? Maybe a Halloween decoration or something? No fucking clue. And yeah, it does look like a cross on the tree, but who knows? Very, very creepy stuff. And then someone says, here's an idea, OP. Maybe try the direct approach, or at least as direct as you can get. The next time you hear or see him, yell out that you know he's there and he needs to stop fucking with you, or you will get the cops involved. He's dedicated, so it may not work, but at least he'll have been warned. And then the OP replies saying, yeah, I'll probably be calling someone over anyways, regardless of sleeping or not. I seriously hope this dude doesn't figure me for dishonoring his clan. His level of get in, get the fuck out is R-worded scary to me at this point, so I really don't think I want him to get serious or violent with me. Honestly hope this is all a really huge prank or something. And then he says, the direct approach? I mean, I'm willing to try it. My real concern here is that it just caused him to then start being more direct himself. Not sure if I want that reciprocated. I'm not sure I have much to lose at this point though. And then someone says, pretty sure that's my ninja creepster chilling back there. And then someone says, that was a thought in my mind, but he's not giving up so far, and it's making you paranoid and worn out. At least if he tried to mess with you, you'd have a fighting chance to take him out, or get evidence to prosecute his ass. And then someone says, I suggest you go get a GoPro next time perhaps, and tell us what he looks like to you. And then the OP says, honestly, it sounds like a great idea, but currently, I really don't have the scratch to spend on a GoPro. I mean, it's first of the month bills and shit are literally slamming me today. The other problem is that more than half the time I'm not seeing him at all. A flicker of movement here or there. Sounds, feet scuffling. Seriously, most of my experiences with this are all auditory. I'd say for every one of these times where I think I see him, there's 15 or so auditory ones happening. Shit that's usually my cue to even start snapping photos, so I'm not sure how much different it would be in terms of me telling you all how he looks to me at that moment. Unless, of course, you're implying he somehow looks different to me than you. You're definitely right about me being worn out and getting edgy about all this. Maybe if he shows up tonight, where I'm at, I will try this more direct method. I think I'll take a sound recorder. I have to. Just in case any of the conversations occur. I don't know if that's a good idea. I'm just thinking of more evidence to supply to the authorities, honestly. And then someone says, holy shit, OP. Just read through this whole thread. I don't know why, but this photo scared the living shit out of me. I agree with this guy. I actually got kind of jump scared when I pulled it up. So scary. I could even look for it longer than a few seconds without feeling something really wrong with it. Like eerie or something. Something is definitely with you. Be on your guard, bro, and keep us posted. Ain't no mace or taser gonna help you out with this spoopy MFer. Don't mean to be that Jesus Christian freak, and I don't even believe in the Christian religion, but carry a effing cross and some other spiritually thingies with you. Could help more than you know. For some reason, bad spirits can't stand being around the things. Good luck, brave sir. And the OP responds to this saying, I definitely always felt some kind of eerie shit with this guy. Glad I'm not the only one. I'm not really religious at all myself, but there was at least one cross there in the picture earlier. Haha, that kind of creepy to me itself in these circumstances, but I mean, if I didn't like crucifix or something, Wouldn't it have pieced out around that building? But I saw it almost exclusively around that building tonight. Maybe it's just a man? Maybe it's more evil than those symbols relate to good? I mean, I don't know about this, and I'm all frazzled out. I'm all for him being a man. In fact, I insanely prefer him being a man over anything unnatural, haha. As far as evidence recording goes, I'm going to bring the little audio mic I have tonight and work with that. Maybe you guys can catch some of the sounds of other shit going on too? I can record video on my phone as well, but what's the best way to upload that all to you? Also, I did start a blog at the behest of one of you yesterday to maintain all this info. I was just waiting for all this discussion to die down before updating it with all the things, but it's the link, as posting URLs here gets me spam response, but all of this will go into that in case we 404. I'm all for it. I'd kind of rather it not being him, although I'm not actually sure what the dark spot was. It's not there in other photos is the reason I really thought it was odd. I'll post another one in a sec to show the difference. And then someone says, where could the shadow be from though? Because the two light sources are behind the little wall, so that would have been shadowed over. What could be there? And in addition, the guard's torch is pointing straightly towards that direction, so what could have been in front of the torch to cast that shadow? That creep looks like a hitman, if I'm honest. Gives me the chills. And then the OP says, oh, fuck me. No good. Here's the shed illuminated, but another picture coming that was actually taken after this one, but just a few frames before the shadowed one in question. And he shares it, and oh my god, he is right. The guy was there. Because look, there's no shadow there anymore. So someone had to have been there. And then he says, that shadow definitely looks like it has a bit more form in this one. Now the other illuminated one wasn't in a burst set, but this and the other shadowed one were. When I got my mag light level on it and got to the shed, there wasn't anything there. Note that a lot of these photos are in at least 4x zoom, and I'm pretty far away actually. And then he shows, oh my god, somebody was there. But my question is, how did he not hear the guy run away or slide away? Still equally as terrifying. And then someone says, well, fuck. I hoped it was a natural shadow. Me too. And then the OP says, yeah, so did I. This all has me very roller coaster back and forth. I almost want to just dump this whole image folder and let you all sift through them to find things and just let me know the outcome. But there seriously was almost 500 shots from last night. I'm still sifting through crap. And then some commenter sent a chilling photo and said, again, did editing. And it looks like a man in a trench coat and a white shirt, but same hairstyle as man in window, along with body size and width. What do you think? And I agree. The more I look at this picture, the more it looks like a person standing there. And oh my gosh, look at that. That's so scary. And I agree. It's like the same sort of suit top as the guy. Maybe he just had it open with a white shirt underneath. And yes, looks like same frame. Oh my gosh, what is stalking OP? And then the OP says, I think that in this shot, he's not even close to the shed. Holy shit, look at that. His feet are clearly planted much closer to me than I had previously thought. I mean, he's on my side of that line on the grass. He must have only been, again, 200 feet away from me or so. How the fuck did I not see this guy? Every time I saw this guy, he was wearing a suit jacket, vest, and a red dress shirt. I'm not sure whatever he's wearing in these, but the height and the at least style of clothing does match. Hairstyle and stuff seems so too. Although I can't get a real good look at it from this one. Just the general shape is the same. Seriously though, the fucked up part is with it altered like this, it's his proximity. I really had wondered how he had ducked the burst shots if he was as far back as the shed, because he would have to go around the back of it and walk away, or else breach the light somewhere. Now it's even more puzzling because in front of the shed, there is absolutely no fucking way left or right that he could have gone that would have not breached the lights and alerted me instantly. Either this dude is the best ninja ever, or I'm the worst security guard, period. Not ruling that last bit out though. And then someone comments, what if he hit the ground flat or just crouched down? I'm leaving soon, but I'll be back later to keep this thread alive, OP. You stay safe too. And then the OP says, I'm going to do my best staying alive. It's what I've done best in life so far. And then the OP says, yeah, I'm starting to write out the blog spot now to keep all this cohesive from tonight and gives me a minute to put this into a more relaxing narrative, mostly just for myself. I hope that officially makes things better, haha. The sad part is I am truly not joking. All the help I can get is appreciated at this moment. I like to think that I'm not going to wake up dead for work tonight. And then someone says, do what I suggested when you sleep. And how about telling your employer about the recent developments? And then the OP says, I did. I even called my supervisor over near the end of my shift tonight, and we wrote a huge report on it. He basically was with me up until 5 minutes before my shift ended, helping me sort through the events of the night, although small now in light of recent events. That's why after I came home, I phoned the police in the hotel to try and get authorities on the matter. In fact, the police are supposedly pulling the footage from the hotel. I told them I wanted to place a restraining order on this stalker, etc., etc. And then someone says, this guy reminds me of Slenderman. In every photo, he's facing your direction. Even with the pic with the legs behind the truck, it looked like he was facing you. And then someone says, okay, good. Keeping others involved should help since they know what's going on. And then the OP says, nah, I don't know about all that. There was one of the reflection photos where he is not facing me, I just didn't put it in. Notice in the burst image tab, there are 4 photos circled, but I only put up 3. I thought the one where he was facing somewhere else wouldn't matter much, but here he is. Also, isn't Slenderman like faceless and all fucky? This dude looks like a normal face having people in the photos where he can just be distinguished at least. And then he adds the picture he didn't include. And yeah, he is facing away. You can barely see the guy, but still, those photos give me the creeps. And then someone says, get a blunderbuss. It counts as antique, so softer laws for them. And night vision and pop that sucker. And then someone says, sorry OP, fuck the laws. You should carry a gun anyways. Thought it's unarmed post. Does anyone actually check for your weapons? And definitely call a friend over to hang with you. And the OP says, unarmed post. As a security guard with a Class D license, I have stricter standards on my ability to carry weapons and protect myself. I almost am at a disadvantage here really, as having a weapon on an unarmed post becomes a felony, and using one, even in self-defense under abrogated battery, is still a felony for me, regardless of it being a stand your ground state in open carry and blah 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 blah. It's the one bad perk about actually having a security license. And then someone says, night vision then at least? And then someone says, valid points, but originally Slendy's stories were stories about a sharply dressed man who appeared in the background of photos of certain children before they disappeared. Faceless was never specified, I think, but still creepy how behind the truck he couldn't have seen you, but was facing you. Night vision, the only logical thing you suggested, but aren't they expensive as fuck? And what if Ninja Creep retaliates with a flashlight in the eyes? And then the OP says, they don't check me per se, but last night I definitely did have a large blade in my car truck on post. Though it was a all helpful all night since I was nowhere near my vehicle. I can and did carry a Leatherman though. The blade on it's not very big, but they make them pretty solid, and I'm not half bad with any blade. Part of growing up poor with some drunks for neighbors who like to throw bottles like kids, so I felt a little safer. But defending myself openly with a premeditated weapon on post could result in me being the one charged and sent to prison. Not exactly something I feel like having to even go into trial to defend against, you know? Although at this point, I'm starting to feel more lax about the whole concept of being armed. And then someone says, I think there's possibility to rent night vision at local gun / hunting gear / military surplus store. Someone else says, I like the idea of you having a blade. If he ever approaches you, keep it hiding until he's within striking range. And don't take chances, OP. If he makes sudden movements, stab his ass. And then someone says, exactly. Don't let these guys bait you into a bad decision. It sucks, but that's stupid loss for you. If it comes to that, it's best if you're at home. And then the OP says, I really don't know. I've only encountered the sensationalized version, I suppose. And I mean, the guy's tall, maybe 6'3", but he's not really big. Also, he's not so slender. The dude in the hotel was a solid 230 pounds. Just a built dude. He really did remind me of a wolf wearing human skin. I gotta admit the truck thing was weird. In retrospect, he was standing like he was watching me through the trailer. Didn't even occur to me until now, really. Do remember, though, that I have seen this guy up close. Assuming it's the same person, at least. And I mean, aside from his general unease and oddity, I again stand by the fact that he looked more or less like people. It was his air and feeling about him. Maybe the cadence of his voice that was just all wrong. And then someone says, looks kind of fat and bald to me. Are you sure he matches the appearance of the hotel guy? And then they attach 4 pictures of the guy's face that are kind of close up. And I don't think he looks bald, but he definitely has a comb over. And the feet under the kind of truck trailer. God, that is so scary. I didn't even notice that until now that it was a truck trailer. But yeah, so scary. And then the OP says, I guess I could call around and look. These past 2 nights, I was just using a camera. I've been able to prove that I'm not going crazy and that there is at least someone out here with me. Fucking with me or whatever. So I mean, utilizing that device has helped me out a lot. Maybe night vision would provide as much? I'm not sure. But I will be open-minded about it definitely. Though obtaining some might be more difficult. I don't even know where a hunting store around here is. I might have to travel some to find that gear. And then the OP also says, yeah, I've got some scars from some knife fights. Again, I feel pretty comfortable around pretty much anything with an edge on it. If we get physical and it comes to stabbing time, I have little qualms. The fact of the matter is though, that I'll have to most likely make do with the knife blade on the Leatherman. As a utility tool, like that is not only permitted but encouraged on post where we don't have access to control. Which is actually a lot of my work specifically since I only subshift for other guards really. And so I normally don't get entire master sets of anything when I'm out on these weird far out posts. And then someone says, OP, if he ever confronts you, call the cops first. Even if you remain silent and leave an open line, they might or might not be able to trace it, but at least they could hear what's going on. You can't have a gun, but he might. Then your knife is useless. And then someone says, quick question. In the reflection of the windows, was that your truck he's standing next to? If so, I really hope he didn't jump in the back seats or something and catch a ride with you. And oh my gosh, that is terrifying. I didn't even think of that. And the OP responds to all these saying, yeah, the dude in the hotel had hair, wore it parted out, one side down and the other side combed back or something. He wasn't bald, but definitely had some thinning up top. Actually, you blowing these shots up pretty much sells me on it. Looks dead on with the guy. The trimmed up beard and everything can't even be seen. Didn't really even think the dude was fat, but he was definitely like a broad, tall dude. He actually looked more built out than fat, but that face down there is fucking, yeah, definitely the guy. And then he says, sorry, haha. If it makes you feel any better, he's been keeping me awake too. Yeah, definitely parted. He wore it like that also in the hotel. Definitely good advice that I will almost assuredly do. Not my truck. The truck was there when I arrived on post and there when I left. And then someone says, very true, dude. He might interrupt OP trying to call the cops though. And the knife isn't useless if he's dumb enough to get close to OP. And then someone says, depends on the situation. Pocket dial cops, stay silent. Remove knife but conceal, confront creep. Dial and drop the phone. Whip out knife, cut a bitch. And when I say dial, this should be a speed dial. Let's hope it doesn't come to either of those. He is a vampire, most likely a Nosferatu. Skip town, OP. And then the OP responds to both of these saying, yeah, really. Also, I'd like to point out that he doesn't seem quite so thick in his side view, which is consistent. I think in the other photo, we're just seeing his broad front really. And then someone says, how much longer until your next shift, OP? It's 10:02 a.m. here. Not sure if that matters, but I don't know if the time changes today or tomorrow. And then the OP responds to these saying, if he was a vampire, would we have got his reflection in all these windows? Although I am pretty sure that your post was all in jest, figured I'd give that ruling out now before someone really does try to sell that one in here. And then he responds to the question asking when his next shift is, and the OP says, next shift in 11 hours from now. And then someone says, I'll be there with you, OP. Try to get some rest, man. If you think whatever the fuck this is, man or spoopy ghost, is fucking with you at home, turn your voice recorder on before you go to sleep, as well as the other ideas posted. And then the OP says, I suppose they do have the suit thing in common. I can see where you're coming from, at least he's responding to a Slenderman comment. He also says, I hope so too, man. The more support I get, the better. I'm thinking about making a Skype for this and trying to maintain a call the whole time I'm out. At least if anyone would be interested in joining in on that. Even to just listen maybe. Just a thought. Yeah, he never struck me as the hugbot type. This is a great idea. I was going to either head over to a friend's place in a bit or call over someone to house sit me while I sleep before work. The recorder wouldn't hurt. But going through the data may prove difficult. And someone says, might take a while, yeah, but if you upload it somewhere, you could scan through and look for any abnormalities in the sound waves. Not really sure how to do it, but I'm sure it can be done. And then the OP makes a Skype for people in the thread to join him, I guess. And he says, just a fluff thing to use for this is anyone decides that they indeed would like to keep me company on one of these patrols for any amount of time. Just feel free to add me or something. And then someone says, dude, if I'm free and your phone can handle it, I'll join the Skype call. Hearing us talk could calm you down whilst you're out on the job. And then the OP responds to that saying, yeah, it really would. Most of my posts, I'm the only one on shift all night. Company of any kind would be greatly appreciated. And then a few of the commenters and OP kind of chop it up for a bit, talking about stuff and being like, okay, I'll be there, or I won't be there. But anyways, then someone says, what is still messing with me is the fact that this is obviously a larger fellow. How is he getting around so nimbly and quiet? I know you are confident in your hand-to-hand abilities, but I'm thinking more and more it would be a huge mistake to tango with this fucker. And then the OP says, seriously, can you post that edit? I'd really like to see it. If we can catch more of him from the previous night, it'll back up my statements to the police all the more. And then, yeah, I'm not sure, but something looks to be over there. Not exactly sure what though. I'm confident, but again, when you look at someone and you think they are just some kind of just predator, just past the skin, you don't want to tangle with them either. The agility this dude must have is beyond baffling. If that was him last night, again, like I said, he is either Anne Frank level hide and go seek champ, or he's the Michael Phelps of freerunning. Not to mention he does all of this ninja shit and sitting in perfectly naturally obscured places like he knows exactly how the light is played. It's all quite astounding. If he weren't so creepy, he'd be amazing, honestly. And then the OP says, how long do these go before they hit a post or image limit? I've been almost consistently on page 1 of X for over 24 hours now. Is the threat in danger of 404 soon? And then someone says, $35 at Walmart, 2 million candle power. You'll be able to see, and your friend Jimbo in the picture won't be able to. Do it. And then the OP says, I like this idea. If not today, I will be picking one up tomorrow. Only because I am no lie paying bills as we speak and watching my funds drain. But this will definitely become an inventory item for this shit. And then somebody says, anybody notice how all of OP's photos have the light source aimed just at the side of the subject? So just barely enough light is cast to give his subject definition, yet OP never sweeps his light to the left or right? 2 out of 10. OP, get either glasses or a bigger light or something better to do than with credulous ass bags on X. And then the OP replies to this saying, I do sweep light over areas. Not to mention, most of these shots are at maxed out zoom and my light source is only a hand mag light. Most of these shots, yet again, are just a few picked out of nearly 500 shots in a single night. You're not seeing nearly even a solid fraction of all the photos. Just most of them are a lot of nothing. I'm only even posting things that may contain some kind of free. And then the OP posts a picture, and this one is disturbing. That, and yeah, I do need glasses. In all honesty, the camera at max zoom with the mag pointed at something sees much better at a distance of 400 to 800 feet in the darkness than I humanly do. So yeah, sometimes I will definitely admit I fuck up aiming and don't even see the shit I'm shooting at. And if I don't catch something, how am I supposed to know to sweep the light? The shed in particular, I did in fact sweep though. Even posted a clean image where it's being swept and there's nothing there. In the picture I was talking about, so take a look at this picture and take a look at the shed. And what's next there? Doesn't it look kind of like a human kind of peeking out there? You can see the head and the torso and then through the legs. That looks like a person to me. Terrifying. And then someone says, OP, I believe that is him on the left of the shed. And then someone says, seems pretty tall and misshapen in this one. I think what we assume is his head might be a hand. Either that shed is tiny or you have a problem and need to leave quickly. And yeah, this one is zoomed in and I don't know what this guy's talking about. I don't think it looks like a hand. I think it's just like his head. And also this is a super low quality image, so it's going to distort things. That looks like a head to me. And then you can see his kind of like knee jutting out and his hands look like it's in his pockets. The posts become obscured because there isn't enough light to focus on anything. Nothing paranormal, just technical. I agree with that guy. And then the OP post saying, well, I had a friend come over and I passed the fuck out earlier. Didn't even see these. F my life. I woke up late and rushed to get to work. Shift just started a bit back. Doing some paperwork junk, then I'm off to start some rounds. And then the OP says, someone earlier also mentioned that I might want a friend to come out on patrol with me. I'm going to call a buddy of mine and see if I can have him come out for a bit as well. The place I'm going to tonight is a bit more remote, so I shouldn't be as scrutinized on post if something did happen. And then someone says, good idea. And then the OP goes radio silent for about 4 hours or 3 or 4 hours, and then says, been on post with a friend all night and taking mostly video. Shit's been ridiculous. I'm going to try and Skype some of you now and give the lowdown on events. Also, we've been led to a place not far from my post, and I'm about to head in. The cops has been no help at all tonight. And then someone says, what do you mean led? He lured you there or you followed? And then the OP says, tonight has been ridiculous. Most of the night I have been out of service actually. So much for Skype company. So forgive my lack of updates. A friend of mine did come out on post and patrol with me tonight. He's here with me now as we go over stuff. Tonight we mainly tried to capture video footage and things. Not nearly as many photos were shot, but we did get almost 3 hours of video work at the places. After we called the cops and had them come out the first time, this dude left us a note in my car that my buddy found. The note had directions to a place essentially adjacent with my posting tonight. The only part was you could only get there either going through the woods or a very short driveway. And in retrospect, like idiots, we went. Oh boy, I'm very interested to see where this goes. And then someone says, Iowa? And then the OP says, no, not Iowa, but I prefer not to disclose my location very much, at least not yet. I'll tell you all that it's in the southern United States though. Honestly, it's just that. I'm already being stalked by one person. I'd prefer to keep that number as low as possible. If you all can respect that notion. Also, I got some shots of the cops involved with us tonight. In case you all really thought I was just bluffing about that, I'm pretty serious about the things going down right now. And then he posts a picture of the cop car. It just says sheriff, at night. Another low quality picture, but at least, this is proof the cops are there. And then someone says, although it sounds like a lot of work for no payoff, this thread kind of smells like, hey dude, stand over in the shadows and I'll post the pics on the internet to spook some dumb kids. Decent effort if so. Good luck out there if not. And then the OP responds to that comment saying, honestly, I wish it was just that. Though involving the police on the subject seems like a whole lot of effort for that, yeah? And I would agree with him. I mean, sure, he could be lying, and I guess this is the cop here he took a picture of. But, yeah, very interesting. And then some people say to timestamp the picture to say it's legit, and the OP then says, it's not happening this second. I just said that I was already off post for the night. This happened a bit ago. I'm not even currently on post anymore. My super relieved me of post a while ago. I'm at home now posting for my PC the stuff from tonight. Mostly trying to figure out where and how to best upload the video footage we took. And then the OP and some commenters discuss the post limit and some other stuff that's not worth reading out, but someone asked something interesting saying, could you possibly get the videos up on YouTube and post links here? And then the OP says, I made a channel and started upload. I've only got the first one up so far. And so let's take a look at the video.
Fucking AT&T. It sucks dick, so I don't get service anywhere. Like anywhere, like especially at fucking work. Like when I'm at work, nobody's talking to me. Fuck, it's cold. Place is creepy as shit. See my breath fucking everywhere. You see anything?
Dude, no. Look, right in front of me, right in front of me. I just caught it.
Shut the fuck up.
Hey.
Dude, there's nobody fucking here. Dude, there's nobody fucking here. There's nobody fucking here.
No, I just took that picture.
Hey, asshole. Shit's not funny.
Yeah, you're trespassing, buddy. You gotta go.
Wow. Isn't that video chilling? That is genuinely the scariest video ever. I mean, okay, so these guys are walking up to the area where they think this guy is, and they stop in the dark and take a flash photo of him. And the photo is a still of him. And the still is, oh my God, terrifying. The still is up on screen now. That is what they caught. And so that guy was lurking in the woods in the dark with these guys. Oh my God, this guy is just standing out there with this guy. Oh my God, it's so scary. And then they start kind of trying to confront the guy, being like, "Hey asshole, get out of here," which makes sense. And I guess he just ran away because they took the photo, they got the still, and they kind of freaked out a bit, and the guy just dipped. I mean, I don't know how he got out so fast, but so scary. And like, this kind of disproves a lot of the, people saying it's fake. Like, this guy is uploading videos, everything, and also this video only has 1,000 views. That means like this story is completely underground. But in the description of the video, it says, "Video footage from night 3 of being stalked by somebody. We finally get a good still of him, but he's gone when we rushed up there." And then someone asks, "Do you have the picture you took when you saw the guy?" And the OP says, "Oh yeah, of course. I thought I posted it here, but I'm a full R word." And yeah, you guys have already seen this, but look at this still. This guy is just standing there in the woods, staring at these two guys, like just stalking these guys. Like, why is he doing it? He's still wearing the black shirt. In my opinion, the guy's hair looks different. It looks less gray. It looks less thin. It definitely could be the guy, but I don't know. But like, genuine full body goosebumps when I saw this. So scary. And this is genuinely the best thread I've ever gotten into. I mean, the OP is hella brave. I mean, how's he out there with this guy? But yeah, they reached the thread limit, and so they go to a new thread. Let's get into that. And also, before we actually get into that, I will be including his YouTube channel in the description. So if you want to check out every single video, you can. I probably won't include them all in this video because all of them aren't relevant directly to the story. So yeah, check them out. There's like 20 plus stories on there, and it's a very underground channel. I mean, there's no views on any of the videos. Like, this story has just barely been covered at all. So yeah, and it's literally like one of my favorite stories I've ever covered so far. And yeah, let's keep going. The OP says, "Opening new thread for the continuation of discovering evidence of the scrutinizing of said current events by X. I appreciate all of your efforts thus far." The OP says, "Previous thread asked about his head or whatever. When the picture flash went off and I saw him with my own eyes for a moment, he looked pretty normal, but my eyes were not angled exactly as the camera is. Also the foot. I didn't even notice that until literally right now when I just zoomed in to look at it hard. I have absolutely no idea what that's all about, man. Maybe he's wearing clown shoes?" And then someone says, "His head is normal. That's just his neck showing. His head looks tilted back a little. The foot thing is strange though," and I agree. Someone else says, "Looks weird though. I must say I kind of just skimmed through some parts of the thread since I just got into here. So sorry if you already said that, but did he ever say something to you? Or answer when you shouted for him, as you did in the video? Like anything else except for stalking you?" And also they said, "Possible, but then again, I don't think escaping you with such big shoes would be that easy. I don't get where he could have went. You're right there." And then the OP replies to this saying, "We got a total amount of jack shit tonight for his voice. Also, eerily, there was far less auditory stuff going on than usual. Although it could be simply that I just didn't hear it over constant banter with my buddy. Not too sure on that. We took the audio recorder but never got to using it. Perhaps the next night? Yeah, sorry about that. I made that other one the night before, but I felt like another fresh start would be best." And then someone says, "That's fine, and yeah, audio might work better with less noise." And then some people start to get suspicious. Someone says, "Hey OP, how about showing us something that proves you're a security guard? Like your uniform? Because right now I believe you're just a neckbeard running around with your neckbeard friend trying to create some spoops. Someone else says, I'm starting to feel this way as well. Something smells here. So what's to be seen in the snooping whooping video? I don't see shit. And then someone else says, I haven't read much of the last thread, but I'll try to logically explain what I see in the OP's pic. I'm no expert or anything, so feel free to criticize. Blue line, where his shoulder and arms appear to be. Red line, where his shoulders and arms actually are. White arrow, the pale patch is more blurred than the rest of the head and almost the same color as the branches, so is most likely part of the tree that got in the way. As for the shoes, it might be some rubbish or something laying in the undergrowth. Like I said, I'm no expert, but that's what I can see logically in OP's pic. I haven't read the story behind this, so if someone can give me a quick rundown, that would be great. And I mean, I don't really know how you can't see the guy, but yeah, he's pretty obviously right there. And God, that picture is so eerie. And then the OP responds to the person trying to debunk him and saying like, oh, well, I don't even know your security guard. And the OP posted a picture of him with an incident log in his hands. And he says pretty much all I feel comfortable sharing. I don't blame him. And then someone says, from these spook videos on YouTube, it feels like it's just some kid fucking around. Someone else says, and OP delivers again. This is one of the best threads with evidence we've had in ages. Who cares if it turns out to be roleplay? It's been good, although it's at OP's expense. Someone else says, just read the last thread, holy shit. Regarding the picture in OP, why didn't you go talk to him in that very moment? Or is it a zoomed in part of a bigger picture? Godspeed, OP. Stay safe and keep us posted, please. I obviously understand you want to keep it private, but if needed, 4chan has helped people in the past. Just a reminder if shit hits the fan. And then the OP responds to these saying, I'm really frazzled and just being stupid. I didn't think anyone would really read those things. Most of the descriptions and tags me and my buddy just came up with for shits and gigs. I assure you that was me. And yes, it was dumb, but in light of all these things, a couple funny jokes to us was a mood lifting after a terror night. I'll be more professional in the future, I suppose. And then the OP also says, we tried to get him. We got this photo of him while we were filming close to there. And as soon as I snapped this shot and saw him, I freaked a bit. My buddy ran over to see what I had got. And then right after, we literally did sprint right up to where he had just been in the photo. He was gone. Completely. No noise, no trees rustling, just gone. And then someone says, okay, if that is indeed you, mind telling us why you're blind as shit? How about the fact that you can't operate a flashlight? Someone else says, you know that thing in the movies when someone is being chased, then they run away and suddenly crouch down and hide? He's got to be doing something like that. And then someone else says, sorry if I came off as angry. I'm genuinely interested by your experiences. I reread the first thread. Is this how it went down? And then he kind of gives a rundown. Also, are you working right now or what? And then the OP responds to these saying, that's my best guess too, pretty much. The cops came out and hit it with their super mag lights and they got fucking nothing. In the video tonight, my friend was actually operating the flashlight and he's definitely blind as shit. I'm supposed to wear glasses as well, but don't. Also, I never went to flashlight school like I should have apparently. Also, most of these places are truly beyond dark. The tiny mag light provides next to no help, especially when things are happening in real time in just a peripheral context. And then the OP responds to some other ones that aren't that important, but then someone says, I watched all the vids. What's up with the 8th though? And so let's get into the 8th video, and it is pretty spooky.
Alright, another update. I guess not really getting much done here, so I'm getting ready to leave.
Waste of time.
Shit, Jesus fucking Christ. There's another one. Dude, someone has to be here.
Yeah. You leave a knife in the car? No, we should probably just go then.
To the left. Shit.
This is not the way out. That's a barbed wire fence.
No.
That's a fucking barbed wire fence.
And yeah, in the 8th video, you can hear something honestly just messing with the OP, or the person messing with the OP. The OP's description was final video of the night that was lost, but really was just taken with my iPod, i.e. I'm an R word and didn't look earlier. Enjoy copious banging noises. And so yeah, I guess this guy was just banging on a dumpster or something, trying to mess with him. And the OP responds to this question saying, I don't know, we got the F out of that place fast. We don't want to be there. Was absolutely no lights, a dumpster graveyard essentially. Was very maze-like. Literally was the perfect place for someone like him to take us. We only stayed in for that little bit and got the F out of there. Called the cops again afterwards, they took our statements, asked us if we owned the property, we told them we did not. So then they basically issued us a trespassing warning. Also, they took the knife for evidence in my case that is steadily building. They also had me send some of the photos of the dude to them. And then someone asked, what are you going to do next? And the OP says, sit rep right now is incident report has been filed. Police reports have been filed. They told me they're going to scrub the knife for prints. Mine are on file as a security guard, and they will call my buddy if they need his. Hopefully the dude gets caught. I decided to go on post tonight, but Lieutenant is going to call me a little later and tell me where. They don't want me going on any posts that have had anything at all happen to me on, just in case, which pretty much removes all the posts I've been to for the week. So they gotta find something that's available meeting the criteria. Good chance they call back to tell me I'm off though. And then someone comments kind of a joke saying, give us a 2-subscriber YouTube special spoop. And then the OP says, would if I could. Maybe if I get more today/tonight. And then he says, fuck all that, I lied. There was a time prior to all the other videos we thought we saw this guy from pretty far back on patrol. Shot a lot of burst and we got him obviously walking out from a corner and right back behind it. We thought we saw something and heard some shit, so we ran over there immediately afterwards, but like always, inspection revealed a lot of nothing. I didn't upload the video before because, well, it honestly looks like we're just running a lot to fuck all, but now with the picture supporting it, I feel much better. And he attaches a picture, and look how terrifying this is. In the burst shot, you can see a man in the distance between those two pillars, watching the OP and his friend. And then he says the video of us running after that is up on YouTube as well. And then he also says, thought this one from the burst was creepy too. And yeah, this one's a much more clear picture of the guy standing and staring directly at the OP and his friend. And oh my gosh, these pictures just give me goosebumps. They're so scary and disturbing. And then someone says, he looks like straight out of a horror movie. Looks like a white mask or something. And I disagree. I think he's just a white guy. And then the picture and the flash kind of just makes him look more white. I don't think he has a mask on or anything, but it's still creepy regardless if he has a mask on or not. And then someone says a kind of a theory saying, obviously a robber who tries to find an opening so he can steal some shit. Nothing to see here. And then someone replies to that saying, obviously not, since he wouldn't stalk and spook OP. And then someone else says, robbers generally don't stalk people for over a week, you derp. And then the OP says, if he's looking to rob me, he is sorely mistaken. He can have all $130 I have left after bills if it keeps him from stalking me. And then someone says, is this an ARG? And then the OP kind of jokes saying, not that I'm aware of. If so, filling me in would be great. And then someone says, OP, what are you doing right now? And then the OP says, sitting down and probably going to try and solidify this into a blog, post links to this archive and YouTube or something. And then the OP and some commenters kind of talk for a few hours. None of it was any importance, I guess. They were just kind of, inviting new commenters because I think after the first thread, the second thread really blew up because people were like, oh my God, what's going on? And so this one has a lot more commenters. So in all honesty, it was really hard to sift through all these comments. And I could have read a decent amount of it, but most of it was just kind of repeating what we already know, since the OP was kind of giving the rundown to new commenters and new people in the thread and being like, oh, well, this happened and that happened, and people speculating. And none of it was really that important. But then the OP tells us he is going to bed. I'm going to bed now, going to leave the recorder rolling and stuff. I'll start posting again as soon as I wake up. Because remember, the OP was like, I'm going to record or put a recorder in my bedroom so I can hear if anyone messes with me. He did that, and he updates us about 8 hours later, and what we find out is truly terrifying. The OP wakes up the next morning and says, he was in my house. He filmed me on my own camera. Oh my fucking fuck. My face is in the shot, but I'm going to upload video anyways. Oh fuck. And the OP then posts the video to his YouTube channel, and oh my god, is it terrifying. Here's the video.
Audio log. It's November 2nd, about
commit.
And yeah, this guy entered the OP's home and filmed him on his own camera while he was sleeping. And I guess the guy walked into his house, picked up the recording, got the sound recorder and played it somehow. I don't know how the OP didn't wake up, but still, he played it. Then he kind of looked at the ground and then, yeah, set down the camera, went black. You can kind of hear him shuffling around, but goosebumps ever. Like, I'm terrified. The OP's video is titled, "Oh My Shit," and the description reads, "In my house. I don't even want to think about this. Calling the cops." And, yeah, how insane is that? This guy enters the OP's house and films him while he's sleeping. And then some people in the thread said, "OP lives. Oh my God, must see. Not for long." And then the OP says, "I'm calling the cops. I'm going to be late for work." And then someone says, "OP is definitely kill. Call police, get weapon, pray to the sun that you'll live." And then the OP says, "He talked to the Skype chat. He used my PC to add himself to the chat and talked. He also probably read this whole thread. I have no idea how long he was here for." And then the OP says, "Police are here. Be back as soon as I can." And then everyone in the thread is kind of freaking out, being like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this." And yeah, I would too if I witnessed this live. But yeah, crazy. And then someone says, "How did he get in?" Someone else says, "Is it possible for OP, after he's done dealing with the cops or someone that was in the Skype chat, to post the logs of what this guy typed into the chat?" And then someone else says, "What's so otherworldly about this video? Really creepy, but it's doable for a man. OP said before this guy has fucked around with his windows. Presumably he entered through them, I guess." Someone else says, "With the knife incident and whatnot, it's also apparent that he can get through locks." Someone else says, "This, if I were OP, I'd send the cops inside and have them search the house." I agree with this guy. And then someone says, "He says they're in already." And then someone else says, "My question is, why does he erase OP sound recordings while simultaneously providing more proof he exists?" Good question. And then the OP responds to some of these saying, "My window wasn't broken. It was cracked about 3 inches. Not sure if my car was unlocked and then he locked it back up upon leaving though. I'm getting copies of all my files for the police. Gonna take some time. Telling work that I'm being questioned. Won't be in on time." And then the OP says, "Put all of my stuff on a thumb drive. I'm not supposed to share any more of those old files with anyone, as now they are part of an ongoing criminal investigation. Any further evidence will have to be entered into the evidence as well eventually, having those same restrictions placed on it, as I cannot withhold evidence from a criminal investigation. Even though I'm the plaintiff, well, I was before this obviously became a criminal felony, so anything I post will probably only post once from now on, or not at all. I'm not sure anymore. And then he also says, I'm not going into work tonight. I'm going to the hotel. Someone else says, if he found you at work and he made it inside your house, what will stop him at the hotel? For God's sakes, man, he was probably still nearby watching your house when the police arrived. Someone else says, in the video, what does he do with his hand reaching for the recorder? It looks like all his fingers disjoint and he cracks them back into place. Can even hear the crack. And then the OP responds to these comments saying, I mean, I'm going to the hotel where I first saw him to talk to the staff. And then someone says, maybe he was simply cracking them. I agree with that. It's nothing otherworldly. And then someone says, you can carry a gun with you since you're not at work, right? Go no country for old men on his ass. Shotgun aimed at door all night. Cover windows. Fortify that bitch. And then the thread kind of reaches its limit and the OP says, the bump limit is reached. I'm making a new thread so this can stay relevant while I do this stuff tonight. And then they create the new thread, and honestly, everyone at this point is very shaken. Everyone's kind of theorizing what's going to happen. The OP is leaving sporadic updates, so I'll try my best to include a lot of it and a lot of the banter. A lot of it isn't relevant, but I think it really sets the scene on how shaken everybody is. And then some people say, I don't know, after the last video, Stalker seems like a very skilled and scary, but otherwise ordinary human. I doubt he'd go around the country killing hundreds of random people. But if that happens, hey, hell of a story to tell in hell. Someone else says, I called it in the last thread. I predict that OP will be kill, and that as the one who spoke the prophecy, I will be next to be kill. And then the OP says, I'm going to leave for the hotel now. A friend has offered I stay in their home instead of my own. They are out of town but have dogs and stuff, so I'll probably take them up on that. And then someone says, Stalker's next target confirmed. OP's buddy. Rip OP, rip Anon. And then someone else says, so is there any way we would be able to find out what this guy typed in the Skype chat while he was in your house? Or is that also considered police evidence now? Someone else says, if he wanted OP dead, he would be. He watched him sleep. And then they kind of banter on for an hour. None of it was really that important, but they kind of just banter about what he should do and telling the OP kind of how to stay safe for their theories. And then the OP says, yeah, probably a good bet not to trust anyone. I didn't even know about these trip things existed though. Thanks for letting me know, guys. And then someone says, OP, please arm yourself. This is already on the level of danger for your life. And then the OP responds to this saying, I don't own a gun, but I do have some blades. Not sure how effective though. And then someone replies to that saying, keep the blades on you, man, at all times. It doesn't matter if your job demands it when your life is in very real potential danger. It's better than having nothing at all. And then the OP goes missing for about an hour and then comes back saying, picked up buddies at Walmart. Thinking of getting a better flashlight, but only have $45 till Wednesday. I think we're going to go back to some of my recent posts tonight though. Maybe we missed something there. And then someone comments saying, WTF is going on in this thread? I watched some of the YouTube videos and it's like shit budget no 5 version of Ghost Adventures. Can somebody give me a too long didn't read version? And the OP responds to this saying, that's because there's literally no budget for this. It's all shot on a camera phone, and I'm positive there's no ghost. And then someone says a rather politically incorrect comment saying, my guess is that a clique of people have made this shitty YouTube videos and then post this garbage here and then talk amongst themselves how cool they are and how stupid everyone else is on X. So this guy's trying to dismiss OP, and the OP then says, actually, I only even made videos on YouTube stuff because I was asked by the people here. I'm perfectly fine without posting any more photos or videos really. Honestly, as soon as this place is not a boon for me, getting evidence, I will probably be gone. And then someone says, no, don't. This is actually really interesting, OP. Any updates, by the way? And then the OP says, the sit rep on this is that I've picked up 2 friends. We've decided to stay at my own place tonight. I felt more comfortable fortifying my own home than my out-of-town friend's place, or involving the children of my other buddy at his house. And currently, we just got back from Walmart, and we are considering whether or not to go out to some of the recent posts and look to see if we miss anything. I figure more pairs of eyes are better than just my blind ones, but one buddy feels we should stay here and just safeguard the place, which I'm all for as well. Also, I apologize, I've been keeping mostly updated on Skype as the notifications are easier to see and such, etc. And then someone says, hey OP, why not just install like a surveillance cam using your phone and shit? But either way, looks like you have the element of surprise. And then another commenter says, If you and your buddies have these stones to do so, go out and check. Now that you have people who you can rely on if things get even slightly dicey. Though, if you want to think rationally, he's probably waiting for you at work. He expects you to be in tonight. But if you want to consider the facts, he's already gone inside of your house. He's typed on the computer, which I'm still hoping to get logs of. He may be loitering somewhere in the area. If I were you, I'd start setting up with the buddies. One of you should definitely be on guard, possibly alternate between the three so that one of you can get some sleep when it begins to set in. Barricades and all of that. Someone else says, you should take shifts, keeping watch during the night, with your buddies, and make sure everyone has a blade. Someone else says, also, this guy seems to be getting quite cocky, sneaking into your home while you sleep. You should try and take advantage of that. I agree. And then the OP responds to a few of these saying, I'm not exactly sure how to set something like that up. Also, I need to go buy some pepper jars, and he was referring to the camera phone comment. Another comment he replied to is, I'd be fine with you getting the logs. You can also join the Skype chat. My Skype name is blank if you want to be added, and I can hopefully send chat logs. I don't know how to really take advantage of that though. If you got input on making a trap, I'm willing to listen. He also says, I only woke up a few hours ago. As per routine, I probably won't be asleep until tomorrow afternoon. And then he also says, it's possible I suppose, but I don't know anything about Iceland, and his Skype contact info had no correlation I could make. Someone else says, he mentioned B before, so I don't think he's the F Lord that has a S attraction to OP. Someone else says, OP, stay alive and keep us posted. Also, to the guy, non-believers, this is real. Otherwise, how would OP not be in jail for falsely calling police? That's actually a great point, and someone agrees saying, definitely a good point. I don't think one would call the police for the sake of a story and risk getting in fat trouble unless they're stupid as hell. And OP doesn't strike me as the stupid type. Someone else says, chances are this guy has your schedule down packed, which means he's expecting you at work tonight. Once he realizes you aren't there, he'll begin to suspect that you're up to something. I'll do my best to help you out, OP, but I need to think this through. Someone else says, so why haven't you bought a used shotgun by now? He has gotten in your house or not? And then the OP responds to this saying, the best reason I haven't bought a shotgun is because I don't even have enough money to buy a good flashlight. So that should explain something. I keep telling people that about all I have is blades. And then the OP adds on to that saying, but seriously, I have less than $45 on me after I just bought milk and Lunchables at the store. And then someone says, go sell something with value which you don't need right now. Shotguns ain't that expensive. Should find one used around 100 to 200 bucks and a couple bucks for shells. And then someone says, maybe we should set up OP a fund for flashlight and other items. Either that or quit complaining. And then the OP says, as appreciated as that all is, I don't want any kind of money or anything from anyone. And 100 and 200 bucks is like a lot of scratch for me after paying bills. And then someone says, those shit are expensive though for what they are, referring to the Lunchables. And the OP responds to that saying, nah man, Walmart has them $1 per Lunchable right now. I got 6. In all seriousness though, we are about to head out to the first place, the construction yard of the truck lot, and look around there, see if anything comes up. And then the thread kind of went quiet for a while, until the OP gave us an update saying, alright, we went around and did some work over the truck lot, got some shots of stuff, but nothing seemed to be really there of any of it. Also, the general noisiness of most nights wasn't present. Didn't have the feeling the stalker was with us at all. Maybe he really is lying low. Someone else says, alright, stay strong man. I would lose my shit entirely if this stuff happened to me. You're a brave man. And then the OP responds saying, also, I openly challenge anyone who is a stalker to post my current city as a way of proving, if they ever do come here. Though something about the way he interacts doesn't suggest he would be posting for really anyone but myself maybe. Someone else says, have you ever considered it may be more than one person, OP? I mean, the possibility is really low, but still. And then the OP responds to that saying, we've considered it in the Skype chat. Hell, we've considered almost every angle. I really do appreciate the ones in there that have been helping me try and figure all this out and offering me insight that I could not have thought of by myself. And then the OP says, a comment on my YouTube has put the idea out there that perhaps the person with me in the videos last night was in fact my woodsy stalker. I will take a photo of all 3 people here tonight to prove that is not true. And then he takes a picture of him and his friends, I guess, to prove that none of his friends are the stalker. And I agree, none of them look like the guy pictured in the previous pictures. These guys are much shorter, it seems, skinnier than the stalker guy and less broad. And they say, none of us are nearly 6'4". None of us really match his broadness. Only one of us has matching hair color. And that guy wasn't even with us at all last night. And yeah, that's good proof by the OP. I do agree. None of these people look like the stalker. And then some people in the comments make fun of him saying, name our band, X. Sorry, I couldn't resist. And then someone else says, I take it you're the thin one? Also, have you heard this guy talk at all? I watched your recent video on mute because I'm a pussy. That was so man. How he cracks his hand. And then the OP responds to these saying, he talks. He says, commit or something in the video. And then he says, ha ha ha. We literally said, wow, we look like super gay boy band threesome before posting. Posted anyways. Who, Dirtface? Nah, that's just his face. And then someone says, Jesus Christ, do you live alone? This is terrifying. And then the OP responds to saying, yeah, I have friends over for the night at least though. Bad part is I personally sleep in daytime because I work these graveyard shifts. So I won't be sleeping until they probably are gone and home. And then someone asks, what I wonder is if this man is a repeat offender? When you saw him at the hotel, you said he was dressed nicely. Did he smile at all? Was he monotone/passive? Maybe this guy is in fact a criminal. Someone else says, did OP ever get a hold of the hotel surveillance footage of when that dude was checked in? And then the OP responded to this saying, police took my audio recorder and a lot of prints swabs on my stuff. They should have already had the security footage by now. The cops didn't seem to know shit though. Although now in a criminal investigation, since it's escalated from me just wanting a restraining order, all the details of the investigation are out of my hands basically. And then someone says, I was the one who made the YouTube comment. Just so you know, this doesn't really prove anything at all, but I like your dedication. And then the OP says, don't recall him smiling. He had inflection, was not monotone. Also, the dude's voice, commit, is unlike any of our voices. It also proves that it's none of us in the photo. And then some people tried to disprove the OP, but the OP is like, you can believe whatever you want. I mean, I've tried to prove everything I can to you that I'm not the guy stalking or any of my friends are the stalkers. I mean, he definitely could have had another friend outside of those three be the stalker, but I just believe the OP. And then someone says, how are things, OP? Still with your bros? And the OP says, yeah, they're still here. The brown-haired one's taking a nap though. Someone else says, anything weird going down? What did the cops say to you? And the OP said, they told me to turn over all my files, lock my doors, stay with some family, haha, and call them if anything else happened. So it's a formal investigation then? Any word on the hotel footage or if they have a name for Creepy McStalker? And then the OP replied to that saying, I'm not the police. I doubt that I will be privy to any of their investigation achievements until he's found and goes to stand trial. And then someone says, to backtrack real quick because I missed it. When you guys went to the place associated with the knifed note in the car, what happened? What was at the location? Possible to search that location in the daylight? Also, do you have any enemies? Any crazy kids you went to school with you know of? Any jealous exes of a girl you might have dated? This guy knows way too much about you, and I take that knife note as a big challenge. And then the OP responds to a few of these saying, I mean, just on principle, I don't want anyone to believe that I'm here for any kind of publicity or money or anything. I certainly do appreciate the offers though, and I mean, I realistically would probably not decline an offer like that, but I want everyone to know that I'm not asking anyone for anything other than helping me dissect the motives and evidences against my stalker. He also says, when we got to that place, in the note, we pretty much realized it was the perfect place for the stalker to be. It was absolute his element. After we heard a lot of noises, either from him personally or from him tossing rocks at us, we got out of there and called the cops. Turned out to backfire on us though because they issued us a trespassing warning since it was a gated private property, apparently. We could possibly get to the location in daylight, from the woods perhaps, but I don't even feel comfortable going back into that property, like inside it. Maybe we will hike through the woods and get some daylight stills of the place from up on the wood ridge here soon if I can find a way through the woods to get to the spot. Also this, I don't know how I would receive any kind of items or donations without identifying my location to anyone. And then someone asks, how far do you think the police will go searching for this guy? Considering he's a stealthy bastard, will they even find anything about him? And the OP responds to this saying, I hope they go as far as he runs. Something tells me, though, this won't end as well as I hope either way. And then he also says, my home network has gone down. All my internet is off. ISO says my service should be fine. Modem and router have been unchanged. No network connectivity. Shit, what? Then how are you posting? Someone else's connection? And then the OP says, cell phone and mobile data. And then someone says, check and make sure creepy guy didn't cut your line. And then someone replied to that saying, I'm almost positive that's what's going on. OP, maybe you can send the cops there to check, see if anything's messed with or if they see or hear the guy. And then people continued to keep talking for about 8 hours, and I assume the OP goes to sleep. I don't know how he went to sleep in the same room where the guy or the stalker came into, but he went to sleep and then started a new thread, and he said, internet here is still down and my mobile data is low, but I'll do my best to keep talking tonight. And then someone said, did you look into the source of the outage yet? And the OP says, I think I'll go do that right now. Is the cable usually bundled in near the electrical, or do they commonly come in house separately? And then some people recommend him to follow the wire, and he says, sorry, just got back inside with people. Everything seems perfectly in order with the cable. I don't know, but the line seems fine and tension is on it. No loose parts that I can get into. And then the OP and some commenters kind of talk for a few hours, nothing of note. Some of the commenters try to prove that the OP has used 4chan for a long time, because in the very beginning, remember when the OP is kind of like, I haven't really used 4chan much or at all. And so some people are like, you acclimated too quickly to it and you're using the slang too quickly and you learn the slang. And the OP is like, I was familiar with 4chan before, but I've never really posted. And so I guess that dismisses it. But yeah, nothing of importance until the OP says, I'm leaving for work now, taking buddies. We'll be silent for a while as we get out there and I do some prelim post stuff. My silence doesn't mean I'm dead. Well, not yet at least. And then the OP doesn't post for a while as he's driving to work. He gives some updates while he's driving, but then people are like, don't text and drive. I'd be pissed if you died while driving. And then the OP gets to work and he says something chilling. He says, I'm here. He's here. I know it. And then someone says, what's going down, dude? Any signs of him being present there? Someone else says, why do you say that? Someone else says, I'm on edge for you, OP. And then the OP posts saying, service here is shit. He's here tonight. Can someone enhance this image? He moves through this whole burst. We chased after with video and maybe got him running away. And he posts this terrifying photo of a chain link fence, and I guess he thinks the guy is behind the chain link fence. And yeah, very scary. And then someone posts a contrasted picture of the picture the OP sent, and yeah, to be honest, I can't see anybody behind there. But the OP seems pretty sold on the idea that the guy was behind there. And then the OP posted, not dead, almost home, posting from friend's phone, looking through the footage while driving, try and figure out what we all saw tonight. And then he says, I'll be starting to upload things here shortly. And then someone says, glad to know you're okay, OP. Have been following your threads with great interest and concern. Stay safe and good luck. P.S. If this is RP, then thanks for the spooks. But I'm more inclined to be hella worried about a complete stranger on the wrong side of the pond. Feels weird, man. And then the OP gives us some major updates. And the post reads as follows. The night started off kinda dull. Got out to post and checked around first property. Not really much to see, but we kept recording for most of the night, just in case anything did happen. Second spot, pretty much same stuff went down. Third place, we dicked around a bit, as nothing had really happened. We decided to leave that place, but we had to go back to the trail and back up a large bluff. Well, we heard some shit, and up on the bluff was Stalker Fucker. We got a burst of him, and he stayed fuck all still. And he even let my buddy run up to the bluff some and get a good zoom shot on him. I mean, it's so zoomed and detailed, it's ridiculous. Also, he's holding some shit, but we don't know what it was. After that, we tried to chase him down, but with the cliff between us, he easily got away. We saw him again though, driving away from that place. He walked right out past our car on the dirt road. My buddy who was driving pretty much shit himself and sped the fuck away. I didn't even see the guy until we did a video playback on it. After that, we heard some more shit in the park proper, and eventually, we caught him again on one of our paths, almost waiting for us. We took after him, but he darted into the woods. Never saw him again tonight after that. Going to give the cops this shit after I upload it. And then the OP attaches a picture on there, and you can barely see the guy standing out there in the dark. So scary. You can barely see his head and just the figure of his body, but he's literally just creeping out there. I mean, literally is just the creepiest thread I've ever read. And then someone comments saying, OP about to deliver again. Oh shit. And then the OP attaches another picture saying, second shot in the burst where we know he's actually above us. And then he attaches the picture. And in this one, I can't really see anything, but I assume the guy's there. And then the third shot, and the OP attaches a picture. And you can kind of see his face in the distance, I think, but not as clear as the first shot. Someone says, good job, OP. Make the hunter become the hunted. And then the OP attaches another picture saying derp. And in this one, I think you can barely see him in the distance. Super low quality picture, but maybe that's him. And then the OP says, last relevant one in the burst before Buddy takes off up the bluff with the camera. And he attaches another picture. And in this one, I honestly just can't see anything. And then the OP attaches another photo saying, Buddy gets this at max zoom right in on the guy. But the way up the bluff was just impossible. By the time we got up, he was vanished. And this is the clearest photo we have of the guy. Max zoom. You can see he has a red vest or red shirt underneath, a black suit. And this is a very, very obvious photo of the stalker. This is the clearest photo we have. Very, very creepy. Someone says, Jesus Christ, that's terrifying. Move far, far away from this place and hope he doesn't follow you. That's my only advice. This guy is not out for anything good. And he's obviously playing some sort of sick cat and mouse game. Stay safe, OP. Borrow a gun or some sort of weapon from a friend. And then the OP says, there are videos before and after this. I'm flipping them all and will upload ASAP. Someone else says, I know it's because of the zoom, but his eyes just look soulless. Because this guy needed to be any creepier. And then someone else says, well, holy fuck. It's Ninja McStalker himself. Show this to the cops, OP. It's a great shot of him compared to what you've had before. You better hope this is an RP for real, or your buddy there might get jumped. I do believe you so far, but just saying. And then the OP says, it's like he didn't care that we got the shot of him, because it was somewhere we could not reach. He barely, if at all, even moved in between the burst and running to a vantage point on him. But later on, when we were at the same level ground with him, he sure did walk away while we chased him down. And then someone else posts a picture that the OP got, and you can barely see the guy out in the distance. So scary. And then the OP says, Skype chat is saying it almost looks like he has a kookery. And then someone else says, weird question, but could you actually see him running? You say he was walking away while you guys chased him. Surely if he was walking, you could have caught up to him running. Or is he just a ninja? And then someone else says, he's getting more brazen. Be very, very cautious the next time you see him. Again, did you get pepper spray or mace? Hell, even an airsoft gun. While off duty, of course, might be useful. Of course, I wouldn't hit him with anything unless he gets right up in your face, lest he decide he needed a weapon to retaliate with. And then someone responds to the kookery comment the OP said, and they said, definitely not a kookery. The blade in his hand looks like it curves towards him rather than away from him. And then someone else says, dude looks like Stanley Kubrick. From now on, I'm referring to him as Stan. Someone else says, where did he leave his fedora? Someone else says, the pic is so blurry it's hard to say. I thought it was a newspaper at first, but on closer inspection, it seems to be the right shape for one. I don't know. Someone enhance this mofo. Someone else says, his whole body, that white blotch at the top of his face, hands and pocket just standing there, you can just barely see his wrist peeking out of them. Someone else says, sounds like he's getting more bold or he's getting ready to do something more confrontational. Stanley McStalker. That works. Someone else says, I initially thought the same thing, but that he may simply be holding the blade the opposite way. And then the OP says, again, as soon as I can flip these videos, you guys will see him more. And then someone asks, any similarities between the alleged knife he's holding and the one you found in the car? And the OP says, not at all. The knife in my car was a black, presumably military utility knife. It had a saw edge on the back of the blade, but it was old and a bit rusted. Wasn't very sharp either. This one looks like... I don't know what it looks like. And then the thread kind of goes dead for a whole day. I assume the OP went to sleep or he was busy doing something else. And then on a new thread, some guy named Toaster Steve links a Imgur gallery of photo bursts. I assume this is one of the OP's friends. And in this photo burst, we can see the guy out in the distance. And yeah, terrifying. You can see the guy kind of peek over the or past the tree, and I mean there's like 100 images, and so I'll include a few of them here, but you can literally see the guy hidden and then peek out and then go back in. So scary. Like, this guy is acting almost animalistic, the way he's just stalking the OP and his friends. It is truly beyond terrifying. And then the OP doesn't come back for a few more hours, but somebody from the Skype group chat made a comment on the post saying, "Just to update for everyone, OP is en route home from work. Had left earlier due to an encounter with Stan, in which a note was dropped from a 6th floor building, uncertain at the moment. Police have been notified. OP alive for now." And here is a video that goes along with this.
Alright, we're in the garage again. Sit rep is nothing's going on.
Telling you, dude. I don't know. Guy kind of gave up or something. I mean, you could hope he gave up, I guess. I don't really know about all that. What the? Up there. Up there.
No way. No way. Do you want to go up?
How the fuck are you catching? What is this? Fucking shit. I don't know. You go. Go.
And it was 2 videos, but those were the last 2 videos ever uploaded to the Lightbringer YouTube channel. And apparently the stalker dropped a note on them when they were in the hotel. You can see the stalker briefly walk away from the edge of the balcony or railing or whatever. And the guys tried to chase him up there and take the elevator up, and they assumed the guy took the stairs down, and this guy just keeps getting away with it. And they read the note, and it's kind of hard to decipher what was on the note, but anyways, let's continue. Someone tries to disprove OP by saying, "I followed this thread from day one. Nice try, OP, but you ruined it with the stalker taking video of you with your phone. Be more subtle next time." And the OP responds to this saying, "Don't worry about the evidence then. Not a big deal. Don't mind the EXIF data either. Just here calling cops to make false statements to go to jail, obviously." And then he attaches a photo of himself writing down, I guess just filling out whatever paper the cops want him to. And that's true. It is illegal to make false statements and go through all of this with the police if he wasn't telling the truth. So this is good evidence by the OP, in my opinion. And then some other people tried to disprove him, but a lot of people tried to defend the OP, being like, what else can he even post without completely doxing himself? Which I agree, because he's given a ton of evidence, and he's given the pictures of the police reports, given pictures of himself talking to the police, he's given pictures of the police, and many more videos and stuff. And then the OP posts a picture of the note that was dropped on him. And he says, front of the 8th grade poetry note, and I'll read it here, I'll try my best. It says, "So we blind are something most close. I'm ancient smoke or snake in chains, now left unfound. Sign away things, froil and something. So you," can't read that, "stand. So you stand, something tall. The national order of notion is down." I can't read any of the other parts. "Cynically from high to center, commit to the stall." I don't really get at it, but it's kind of some sort of cryptic poetry. I mean, this kind of makes me think the guy or the stalker is kind of schizo. This gives off very schizo vibes, or schizophrenic. And then the back of the 8th grader note, which reads, "Do not drop in, walk, east sheep, something the world eats all, light and framed my death, mass blinds, wings eat, try the uncut, model severance still, soon," it says soon, something again, or see you again, maybe. And that is insanely cryptic and weird. And someone asks, "Anything else?" And the OP says, "Videos on the way, some burr shots going to Imgur." And then someone says, "Could someone put these into text? I can't make out a few words." And the OP says, "Neither can we. We don't understand half the writing." So I guess I'm not alone on that one. Someone else says, can't make out half of that. Hey OP, you should go to bed now, man. The OP then says, only woke up a few hours ago. Normally I'm awake till 2 p.m. tomorrow. Tonight though, I want this note deciphered before sleep. And then someone tries to decipher it saying, so far I can see, so we find our blank, most close, in/an, ancient smoke and chains, now left unbound, sign away things frail and small, so you may stand blank tall. Unsure about this sentence, the natural order of nature is blank 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 from high to center, commit to fall. And then the OP and his Skype kind of group chat works on it for about 30 minutes, and this is what they come up with. The OP says, this is what Skype believes. I think it pretty much coincides with what we think here. Gonna just believe this is it. So we find our namesake most close, an ancient snake and chain, now left unbound. Sign away things frail and small, so you may stand worldly tall. The natural order of nature is down, driven cynically from high to center, commit to the fall. Do not despair. Wolves eat sheep, but the world eats all. Light once framed my hearth, now blind. Wings beat by the uncounted, now severed still. Soon we'll agree. Yeah, pretty damn weird. And then the OP posts the videos, but we've already seen them. And then someone says, typing on a tablet sucks. Anyway, what did the cops say? And the OP responded to this saying, they told me to stay with someone else. Call them at the first sight of anything weird. Take the night off. They took the note and the handkerchief in for further evidence. I'm pretty sure this dude's got a solid case built against him now. And then some commenters try to speculate on the note. Someone says, sounds like the guy isn't wanting to hurt OP, just making him aware of something. Lights are now blind could symbolize truth or innocence or happiness all gone bad. Freedom is severed based on the winds. Snakes can either be cunning or evil if the guy was brought up by Christians. The snake seems to be after something. Standing worthy tall. He expects good things from your character. And then the OP posts a chilling update, saying, one of the pictures from the burst we got him in between videos 2 and 3. And this is a very, very clear shot of the stalker. And these pictures just give me the goosebumps every single time because they're so authentic looking. I mean, I totally believe OP at this point, but still, like, look at this picture. It's so liminal. And then the stalker is just in the middle, looking up at OP and his friend. And it's so crazy because it's like he's just taunting the OP and his friend. Like, he just gets away like that every single time. It's like a movie almost, like just taunting the OP and his friend. It's crazy, but this is just such a scary and spooky picture. And then someone says, didn't see the videos for now, but in all other ways you meet this guy, he is outside in the dark and hiding, but now he is on the way in a lighted building. And the OP replies to this saying, first time I saw him was in hotels. Every time since then, he's really only been hidden when we can reach him. Other than that, he doesn't seem to care if we see him or not, if we cannot approach him. And then the OP goes quiet for a few hours, and people are wondering if the OP got murdered by the guy or anything. And some people are also like, well, maybe the police told him to not talk in the chat anymore. But the OP came back a few hours later and said, a fake stan came and talked to someone in the Skype after I went in for police questioning. My shitty Wi-Fi cut off part of me telling them I was leaving. Removed blog for police. So the blog, we can't even contact anymore, so that's why I haven't included any of the blog. Was bitched at for many, many hours for posting evidence that could have been crucial in investigation in places where the defendant could most likely easily see. Haven't slept yet. Very tired. I really appreciate everyone's encouragements and such, but I'm very stressed out. I may not post any more substantial evidence for a while until this investigation is so important right now. I hope you all understand. I'm going to still be around though, and will keep everyone updated as best as I can. And of course, if I can, and if something happens, I'll try and document it. Hopefully, I can release everything. And then, that's the last we ever heard from OP, until someone came in a few hours later and said, OP has left the Skype, saying he is done with us all. His reasons cited were, I feel like my friend was error telling me to come here. I came for help, knowing basically nothing about this place, and along the way, my serious real-life situation has become a game for you all. This was not exactly what I was expecting, not knowing anything about 4chan really. In retrospect, I think I've realized this has all been a big mistake. I'm stressed with a burden of proof to people I don't even know, all while evading a real-life threat. I thought that this would be a helpful thing, but it's become almost as stressful as my real life problem. I'm done here. Sorry if this ruins your fun. Lightbringer. And then the guy who posted that posted proof that he did say that in the Skype chat, and he also apparently PM'd some people singularly. I'm stressed with this. I'm living on friends' couches. Police are yelling at me. A man is stalking me and breaking into my home. And countless people here don't believe me despite my great efforts to acquire evidence. Sorry, it's just too much. Lightbringer. And that's the last we've ever heard from OP. So we don't know what happened to him. What I assume happened is that the law enforcement told him to stop posting about the case online and to stop posting evidence online, which makes sense, and a lot of people do agree with that theory. And other people think that the OP may have got killed, which I don't really believe, but it's weird that, 10, 15 years later, we haven't heard back from the OP. And I think it was 11 years ago this happened. So it's been a long, long time, and we probably would have heard an update by now. So if the OP is watching this, please send me an email. I think I'm the biggest channel to ever kind of cover this story. So yeah, if this ever reaches you, please send me an email and let me know how you're doing or how this ended up finishing out, because this was genuinely the scariest story I've ever read and the best thread I've ever gotten into. This truly was so entertaining for me. Like most of the time, some stories kind of go on and on, but this one kept me engaged the entire time, and I hope it kept you engaged as well. I love this story so much. This truly was a masterpiece in my opinion. The best 4chan thread I've ever read, and I fully believe the OP. I mean, he gave evidence as often as he could. He showed the police, he showed evidence and videos and pictures, everything. And it's insane to me that some people watching or that were in the comments said that there wasn't enough evidence when, to be honest, in other 4chan threads, no one ever gives that much evidence. So big shout out to the OP, but I hope you're well, Lightbringer. This truly was an amazing thread, and I hope you're doing all right. And to everyone watching, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps me more than you know. My voice is cooked. I've been recording for 2 hours, so I'm gonna get some rest now, but I appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video. Check out some other videos on the channel if you enjoyed this one. And this was Snook, and I'll see you next time. Bye.